Good morning, grade 8. It's so nice to see you today. Today we're going to be talking about free verse poetry again, and we just started that in class. And you'll remember that free verse poetry doesn't have a certain rhythm, doesn't have a certain number of syllables in the line sequence, and it doesn't have a rhyme scheme. It just follows the natural rhythm of our speech, and it's the most popular kind of poetry that is written in North America today, and the most popular that people listen to as well. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And today we're going to start off with a poem. And this poem is called Let Evening Come. It's by Jane Kenyon. Let the light of late afternoon shine through chinks in the barn, moving up the bales as the sun moves down. Let the crickets take up chafing as a woman takes up her needles and her yarn. Let evening come. Let dew collect on the hoe abandoned in long grass. Let the stars appear and the moon disclose her silver horn. Let the fox go back to its sandy den. Let the wind die down. Let the shed go black inside. Let evening come. To the bottle in the ditch, to the scoop in the oats, to the air in the lung, let evening come. Let it come as it will. And don't be afraid, God does not leave us comfortless. So let evening come. And that's written by Jane Kenyon. So, we started talking about free verse poem and where free verse poem comes from, and we talked about feelings and how poetry is really the genre in literature where we see the most exposure of our feelings. And where do our feelings come from? Well, we often think that our feelings come from our hearts. And Georgia Hurd tells us that we should do some heart mapping to figure out what's important to us, and we can have some ideas for our poems. So I did another heart map last night, and I'm just going to show you some of the things I wrote down before we go on. So first of all, I wrote my 5 children because they're very important to me, and they mean a lot to me in my heart. Things like lipstick, I love lipstick, and Christmas, my sister Carolyn and her boys Will and Matt. I love cooking, I love chocolate, I love shoes and vintage stores, and I love the smell of the ocean. I love flowers. And I love indie bookstores because they have such a curation of their books. It's so lovely. So those are the kind of things I like. Now the other thing we talked about was where do these ideas for poems come from? And ideas for poems can be hidden anywhere. And you'll remember we had a table full of things that you could look at. So I brought some of those things with me today. So I'm just going to flip this piece of paper over and show you a few things. All right, so I scoured my house, and here are some things I found where some poems can be hidden. Here's a mother rabbit and her son, and he's just heading off for his first day of school, so that could be a great idea for a poem. I have some art supplies, some paintbrushes, and some markers. Maybe you love those things. I have some wood here. Maybe you can build something with somebody in your family, or maybe at school and shop. That could be part of a poem. Maybe you hurt yourself, and that was a memory. And you had lots of feelings in that, I'm sure. Maybe you have a dog in your family who's really important to you and it really brings out love and good feelings in you. You could start with that. Or there's shells from the ocean. There's some shells that you could, if you like the ocean. Maybe you have a favorite sweater that your grandmother or somebody in your family knit for you. Or you like to go hiking and find things like pine cones. Or maybe you like camping. Maybe not the mosquitoes, but maybe the s'mores, marshmallows and chocolate. Maybe those things. Maybe Christmas is your favorite thing. There's a Christmas angel and a sleigh with some candy canes in it. Maybe when you were little, you wanted to be a firefighter or a policewoman. Or you just love to watch those cars and trucks drive around. Maybe you really love sports and you've won some awards. Maybe that's something. Or you love to bake. There's some sprinkles for cookies. So there's all kinds of ideas. So tonight or just after this video is over, I'd like you to go around your house and I'd like you to find things that could be places where poems can be hidden. And pick one of those things, and then I want you to write 3 sentences about it. And what I did was I did that because what's really I love, and I have them in my pocket here, is sea glass. See the sea glass? I love sea glass. So I thought of 3 sentences that I could write about sea glass, and I'm going to write them on the board, on the paper here. So the first one I thought was, I can hear the seagulls. So when I think of sea glass, I think of the seagulls there trying to find that last cheesy. I can smell the coconut sunscreen. Can't you just smell it? You can always smell it at the beach. I can feel the hot sand between my toes. So those are 3 sentences I could use to develop into a poem. So that's what I want you to do on your 5 minutes on Flipgrid. Bring one thing and write 3 sentences and tell me what you found in your house and why these sentences connect with the thing that you found in your house. So that's that for this week. Keep adding to your own heart map. You can always squeeze a new thing in, maybe an inspiration from another student or from a friend. I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you next week. Bye. Have a great week.